So yes, robotic affirmations work. Yes, you can start seeing results immediately. And yes, earworms can be helpful for you. But like I said, we'll talk about that later. You know that song you just can't get out of your head? I'm going to show you how to get an affirmation that you just can't get out of your head. See how that'll work for you? You're welcome. Hey, loved ones. Today we are talking about robotic affirmations and the absolute most powerful way to use them in your life. So let's not waste a second. What are robotic affirmations? Robotic affirmations are short, repeatable phrases in the affirmative, because they are affirmations, that you can repeat to yourself over and over again. It's easy to loop them. You can say them mindlessly without having to think about them. You aren't attaching any emotion to them. They don't have to be long and laborious. It's just a short phrase that you can repeat over and over and over. You can say them mindlessly as you're doing other things. You can say them while you're walking, while you're driving, while you're showering, while you're washing dishes, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're walking down the hallway at work, while you're doing your workout, while you're cooking dinner, on the way to sleep, while you're having sex, especially while the beauty of them is you can say them anytime you want to. And the more that you do it, the more that they just pop in your head without you even having to purposely bring them up. When you get to that state, we'll talk about it a little later. We're going to talk about how to purposely create an earworm. So even though they're so easy, they still do a great amount of work in helping you fight against your limiting beliefs, or rather, I should say, helping you plant new seeds of belief, because it's not about tearing down the old and getting rid of old thoughts. It's just about planting new ones that just completely override them in general. It's like, you know, those things that you can plant to help get rid of weeds. You're not necessarily pulling up the weeds. You're planting something that just kind of overtakes them in general and doesn't even let them come up and wreak havoc in your life. It's the same thing in your mind. Robotic affirmations really help to insert themselves and work on autopilot. That's the beauty of them. Besides them just being easy and easy to repeat, it's easy for them to pop up in your mind without you having to think about it. Your mind goes into overdrive when you start having limiting beliefs, when you start having ruminations. Robotic affirmations can pop up and completely take that over and make sure that those aren't there to stay. So yes, robotic affirmations work. Yes, you can start seeing results immediately. And yes, earworms can be helpful for you. But like I said, we'll talk about that later. So let's talk about how they work. First of all, repetition. The mind is an ecosystem of repetition. The things you repeat are the things that it's familiar with. It's the thing it's going to draw up for you again and again and again. So what we're trying to feed our subconscious is repetition. That is the language of the subconscious, repetition. Well, actually, the language of the subconscious is images, but that's a whole other story. Repetition is what gets us to overwrite the thoughts that are there. So research shows that like 90% of the thoughts that we have every day are just recycled thoughts that we had yesterday, the day before that, the week before that, the year before that, sometimes like from decades ago, just having the same thoughts over and over and over. And you don't even realize you're having the same thoughts. But if you think about the state of your life and how much has not changed as a result of certain thoughts still being there, it makes a lot of sense. Now, the other problem is most of these thoughts are just running in the background all day. We're not even aware of them until we tune in. Like maybe you're not in such a great mood and you have to sit back and realize like, why am I not in this great mood? And then you tune into what your mind's been saying to you. What you want to do is make sure that you are gaining a practice of being aware of your thoughts in general. Robotic affirmations can help you do this because in gaining a habit of just saying robotic affirmations and all the times where your mind is kind of idle, your mind will start to say robotic affirmations in place of the things that it's been saying before. The robotic affirmations, most of them are working in direct opposition to what's already been there in your mind for days, weeks, years, decades. Okay. So what are the best ways to use robotic affirmation? One, like we just talked about, overriding your limiting beliefs. If you gain a habit of as soon as like something happens in your 3D and it's affirming your current story, but what you're trying to do is live in your new story, because you know that living in your new story and only in your new story is what's going to bring that story to you. ignoring the 3D and what's going on in the 3D. Stop interacting with it. Stop affirming it. Stop getting upset about it. That's just giving it more energy. It's just feeding it more. When we come back into ourselves and we change internally so that the mirror outside of us can change, right? You can't wave in a mirror without you actually doing it yourself first. So you can't change the outside screen, okay, without changing the projector, right? Whenever you have limiting thoughts that come up, like say you realize you're starting to ruminate, let's say you get in your car won't start. And most of the time you'll sit there and you'll be like, oh, why me? Why today? Why does this always happen to me? It's always something. Now I'm going to have to pay for this. And all these thoughts start coming up. You see how easily it is to get on that train? We're not getting on that train. We're getting on our robotic affirmation train, and we're going to loop those. So you have a different loop. Nope, I am abundant. I always have exactly what I need. I always have exactly what I need. I always have exactly what I need. I always have exactly what I need now. I always have exactly what I need now. Or I always have exactly what I need in the moment. I always have exactly what I need in the moment. Or even, I always have exactly what I need before I need it. Okay? And you see how easy it is to just repeat that same phrase over and over and over. You don't have to change it. You don't have to switch it up. You don't have to link it with other thoughts and other affirmations. Just choose one. Say it over and over. Once it starts to change in your mind, it'll start to feel different in your body. You don't feel agitation, or you don't feel sadness, or you don't feel whatever story it is that you're letting your mind run with, because you're finally taking stock of what's going on in your mind. And robotic affirmations are going to help you do that. So that's one of the best ways to use them, is to override limiting beliefs throughout the day. As things come up, as any sort of resistance come up, repeat your robotic affirmation. Also, like I mentioned earlier, getting in the habit of doing them while you're doing things that are kind of mindless activities. Washing dishes, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, making your bed, cleaning up, going for a walk, driving. If you get in the habit of, like, I have very much a habit when I get in my car, I already know what time it is. I'm turning that music off and I'm affirming. Now, I love music. So maybe that's not all the time, but a good majority of the time, especially if I'm trying to manifest something like in my world at that time, all of my focus is on that thing. So I'm getting in the car, them affirmations are starting up. So try to start to link them with other habits that you already have, and it'll come up to you easily. Now, for the most powerful and my favorite way to use affirmations, make them earworms. So what's an earworm? Because I know everyone's not familiar with that term. And maybe you call it something different in your language or your area of the country or the world. So an earworm is like, you know, that song you just can't get out of your head, that little jingle from a commercial, or like a certain line from a song that you hear on the radio, or one of your favorite songs. So an earworm is like a short part. It's usually of a song, or something that has some sort of rhythm or jingle to it that just keeps looping. For whatever reason, that one part gets stuck in your head. So how do you make your robotic affirmation an earworm? The easiest way for me is I just put it to a song. So if I am listening to music on the radio, like say I'm driving and I'm listening to music, I'll say my robotic affirmation to the beat of the music, whatever the music is. And I'll just say that one phrase and I'll repeat it over and over. Like say I was trying to get a new job and my robotic affirmation was simply, I got the job. Okay, I got the job. Now, if, what song do we like? So say I was playing Beyonce and I'm That Girl was on. I would literally, to the beat of I'm That Girl, hold on, how's I'm That Girl go? I got the job. 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 Or whatever song is on. But it's easy to say them to a beat because they're so short and repeatable, just like music is. And if you don't already know, music is such a powerful force to just ingrain different ideas into you. You have no idea what's soaking into your subconscious just by listening to music. All sort of things are getting past your conscious mind and going straight to your subconscious just because it's in a song. Okay? So if you can put your robotic affirmation to a beat, and it doesn't have to be music you're listening to, you simply can just say it over and over. Now, they can be longer, okay? It's just the thing about a robotic affirmation is it has to be repeatable. So I'll tell you one that I use personally sometimes. I think he's another YouTuber here. I think his name is Brian Scott. So I was rummaging through Reddit one day. One of the affirmation, Neville Goddard, law of assumption, something up in there probably. And I saw someone mention a money affirmation from Brian Scott. I think that's his name. Maybe let's stop saying his name in case that's not it. But his affirmation was something to the effect of large quantities of money come to me over and over. I don't remember. I'll put it here. I'm not going to butcher it, but I'll insert it.
Large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all, that I get to keep, give, spend, invest, and circulate joyfully.
Love that affirmation because I love the elements of it. But in trying to learn it, it was hard for me to repeat because it wasn't sandwiching together in a like cohesive way. I'm very much a beats person. I've danced my whole life. I've been adjacent to music my whole life. Music, just like if I'm repeating something, it has to be a little bit catchy to a beat, jingly. So I remixed his into my own that pretty much was saying the same thing, but it was easy for me to repeat. So mine from his is large sums of money flow to me easily and quickly, continuously, from many sources in increasing quantities for the good of all that I get to keep. Large sums of money flow to me easily, quickly, continuously, from many sources in increasing quantities for the good of all that I get to keep. You see how that's a lot easier to repeat? At least for me it is. So because it's kind of in a jingle format, or a format that's just easy to kind of roll off the tongue and fall right back into itself, I find myself, if I start saying this affirmation, as with any of my robotic affirmations, I find that even without me thinking about it, I'm still saying it. So I'm either still going because I started it consciously and it continues on without me thinking about it. And I'll start to realize I'm having like complete other thoughts over it. Like I'm thinking about what I'm cooking for dinner. And then I'll be like, oh my God, my affirmation is still like playing in the background of my mind. That is what you want. You want it to become an earworm such that without you even having to purposely, consciously think about it, it's the thing that comes up in your mind instead of the kinds of things that usually come up in your mind, right? The kinds of things that will hold you back, the kinds of things that will make you doubt yourself, the kinds of things that will change your mood, change your state of mind, change your state of being. We don't want those anymore. We want things that are going to come in and make us feel good, make us believe what it is that we're working toward and moving toward, and that show up and help us. And if you can do robotic affirmations in this way, it'll help you so much. So this is when earworms turn into something very helpful for you when you do it deliberately. So your homework is to create a robotic affirmation. Just, I would say, especially if you're new to creating affirmations for yourself in general, make it a short phrase. Don't worry about making it like a stanza or a haiku. Just make it a phrase that you can repeat to yourself. You can make it as specific or general as you want to. Like one of my favorite ones, especially when things seem chaotic, everything is in its right place. Everything is in its right place. Everything is in its right place. Okay? And doing it this way just makes it so easy for you to do them at will when you want to, or for them to come up for you when you need them most and you're not even actually thinking about it. Okay? So report back to me here. Let me know how it works. I hope this was uber helpful for you. I'll see you here real soon in the next one. Bye, loved ones. Oh my gosh, I did a YouTube video today. I hope I look good. I hope I sound good. And good job, Shakara, when you're editing this. Good job, boo. Keep going.